Okay, Dr. Hines, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to allow me to interview you for my doctoral study. There will be 21 questions that I will be asking and for you to answer. If I talk too fast, just let me know because I do have a tendency of talking fast sometimes. But as I mentioned, there are 21 questions, and let's go ahead and get started if you're ready.
I am ready.
Okay. How long have you been a dentist?
I have been a dentist for 17 years.
Oh, wow. Has it been that long?
Yeah, I graduated in 2001.
Okay. Question number 2. How long have you practiced dentistry in a multidisciplinary dental setting?
Well, when I first got out of dental school, I was in the military, and the practice I was in did have a few specialties in it. But I would say in the current definition of multidisciplinary practice, that would be 12 and a half years.
Oh, wow. Okay. How many multidisciplinary dental settings did you practice in within those 12 and a half years?
I worked in 5 or 6 different clinics within our very large group practice.
Okay. Question number 4. Have you ever practiced in a non-multidisciplinary dental setting?
I have.
Okay. What other dental settings have you practiced if you have?
Well, I guess, I don't know what you consider. I guess I would have to rely on my Army experience.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I worked in a field hospital setting. I worked in I guess you would call it just a large building / banquet hall sort of thing. I went to Honduras, and we just kind of set up our field equipment and worked on kids there. Is that what you're looking for?
Okay, yes. So, are you able to tell me approximately how many non-traditional dental settings you've practiced in?
Sure. I would say, would you consider each separate field assignment a different setting?
I would, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so then I would say 1, 2, 4.
Okay.
No, I backtrack. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'd have to say, I forgot one thing. 5.
5, okay.
Yes.
Question number 7. What are some of the differences that exist if you practice in more than one type of dental setting?
So the differences between the settings?
Yes.
So a difference between a non-traditional versus traditional?
Yes.
Okay. In a non-traditional setting, you are, in the settings that I've been in, specifically with the military, you're kind of at the mercy of what you've brought with you. So if you don't bring the proper equipment, you can't do certain procedures. So you're a bit stuck if you go there just planning on doing exams and fillings and someone needed an extraction. You would either have to improvise or you couldn't do it. When I was in Honduras, these were little kids we were working on. There was a bit of a language barrier. There was an education barrier in terms of oral health. And so I guess communication, being able to communicate with the patient was difficult in that setting.
Mm-hmm.
And we never really met their parents. So we couldn't, it was more of a treat, but you couldn't really educate the patient in that setting. You couldn't educate the family in that setting.
Okay.
So I guess that would apply to, if you're going outside the country. When we were this is interesting, when I was doing field dentistry with the Army, probably the most difficult hurdle we had was keeping the environment sterile.
Okay.
Because we were outside and there was a lot of dust, and we were strangely set up next to the landing pad for the helicopter, and so dust would blow into the clinic. So, I mean, that's definitely something that I had never experienced before then.
Okay.
Having constantly clean our equipment, constantly worry about sterilization and infection control and things of that nature, which is absolutely not something that, obviously we address it in the dental setting, but it's not, that was at the forefront of our minds. Like, we were worried, should we even treat patients if we can't maintain quality, infection control?
Right. Okay.
I have one more thing.
Okay, please.
In terms of it, so also there were only a couple of us that you had to kind of you had to really focus on your own knowledge, and there weren't a lot of people to bounce things off of. You had to kind of just go for it and do it. So if you had questions, you could be stuck at times. There weren't a lot of other dentists to talk to.
Okay. Number 8, has the new dental business model allowed advantages for practice in dentistry?
In my experience, it absolutely has. I, as a general dentist, enjoy doing a variety of procedures, but as time goes on, I'm more comfortable with what I can do and what I should refer, and I have the ability in a multidisciplinary practice to refer within our practice and keep patients, within their insurance benefits and, not keep them in their network and, call other doctors who refer things out that I don't feel comfortable doing. So, and patients seem to really appreciate that. They don't tend to want to even leave the building if they don't have to. So if they know the specialist is going to be in that building, they're more likely to seek that treatment. You can almost see it in their face. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, can you repeat the question?
That was it. Has the new dental business model allowed any advantages for practice in dentistry? And number 9 was going to be if so, how? And you've actually already answered that question.
Okay.
As to how it came.
It's also helpful. Yeah, it's also helpful as a general dentist if you have a tough, complex case, there are many different people you can call to in any specialty within our practice to ask questions and to get a second opinion and things of that nature. So I've enjoyed it for myself.
So you like that, the aspect of being able to bounce ideas and questions off of one doctor to another?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So number 10, has the new dental business model affected any relationships with patients?
Well, when I have to send a patient outside the office to, let's say they are only available on a certain day, and on a certain day that the specialist is only available, scheduling can be difficult, and patients, for example, if I'm in the Fuquay or Lillington office, they don't necessarily want to drive to North Raleigh or Wake Forest to see the specific specialist. So I wouldn't say I don't know if it's affected the relationship. Well, oftentimes I don't see them for a while after I've sent them to a specialist too. So, I don't know if it's affected their view of me. I can give you a specific example.
Okay.
If you are wanting a specific example. I have a patient I sent to our endodontist. I diagnosed that she needed a root canal. It was not a root canal I felt I could do successfully in a timely fashion for her, and so I sent her to our specialist. When I sent her, he charged her a diagnosis/consult fee, which she doesn't have dental insurance. She was very upset about that because she spent the whole appointment having pulp testing and all this business, and he said, "Oh yeah, you need a root canal." And she said, "I know I needed a root canal. Dr. Hines already told me I needed one. That's why I'm here for you to do the root canal." And so she was very upset that she was charged that amount of money for something, and I agreed with her. It was not what I asked for. I said, just please do the root canal. I know she needs it. It was clear to me on the x-ray and clinically. And so that relationship, actually, she was ready to leave the practice because she was that upset about the way she was treated and the amount of money. She felt it was a cash grab.
So if you what you're saying is she was you referred her out of you guys' practice to another to a specialist, and then when she got there, she had extra fees on top of and he did all the testing when you already knew that, hey, this patient needs a root canal. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but actually he's a member. He's part of our practice. It was just in a different clinic, but he is.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what really upset her, and she wasn't upset with me. It didn't really hurt our relationship, as patient doctor, but just kind of left a bad taste in her mouth for the whole practice in general. And so actually, our owner had to kind of smooth things over with her and invite her back, and we managed to keep her as a patient, and I continued to see her, but. When you send in that kind of practice, when you send someone, you have to be confident in the other doctors that you work with. And so if you send your patient to another discipline within the practice, you want to be sure that they're going to be treated right. And it doesn't always happen that way. It doesn't always happen that way, unfortunately.
Right, okay.
And you lose kind of, I guess, I don't know if this question is coming up, but we can talk about it again. But that's, one of the downsides is you kind of lose some control when you send a patient out. You don't know when they're going to come back, and
Right. Okay. Number 11. And actually, you've already answered that. You've given the examples as to how the new dental business model has affected relationships with patients. So let's go to number 12. Has the new dental business model affected relationships with employees?
Yeah, I mean, I can see how it would. So, So if you're a general dentist in a multidisciplinary practice and you do a lot of different kinds of procedures and you don't refer procedures a lot, the other dentists may get a little touchy about that. So we have had a lot of problems. Well, I wouldn't say problems necessarily, but our orthodontics department, because a lot of general dentists are doing Invisalign.
That's right.
They are really wanting us to keep referring patients, Why aren't we referring patients? And if I have a patient who wants Invisalign and I have a general dentist that I work with that does it, I'm going to refer them to that general dentist. So, there does get some sort of, we do butt heads a bit at times. We do. We can butt heads with the periodontists because they have specific guidelines to who should be referred, and at times we over-refer and flood their schedule with things that they feel the hygienist can do. For the endodontists, we've had times where they've said, why you refer us. Some things we shouldn't, as general dentists, start if we don't think we can do it.
Right.
Then we get into a mess. We send them to endo, and endo's like, "Well, I'm just cleaning up everybody's mess here."
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like that probably happens when you, if you're a sole practitioner and you send someone out of your practice. There probably are those feelings, but they don't hear about it. Maybe
Right.
Because we have quarterly doctors meetings. We see all the specialists, we talk everything out, and so we know, wow, that's how the orthodontists feel about us, or wow, the periodontists really feel like we need to learn a little bit more about what is a patient to refer and what isn't,
Okay. So that answers to question number 13. So let's move to number 14. What are the challenges that are encountered because of the new dental business model?
The challenges I see are, I've mentioned some of them, when you do have a multidisciplinary practice, but the specialist you need to refer to is far away, patients don't tend to like that. They
Okay.
want to stay close. Communication between offices and between specialists is, we don't get a lot of feedback. So I may refer someone to endo and I don't hear back from the endodontist. You know, I want to know, how did it go? They don't send a picture back. They don't tell me, I'll see the patient back for a crown and they're like, did you have the root canal? Apparently they did, but I didn't hear back. So there's definitely some difficulty in communication when you have such a large practice and you're working with so many specialties, to communicate between the specialist and the general practitioner is really important. In addition, we've had a fairly high turnover in the past several years, so we've gotten a lot of new younger dentists, and I wonder if maybe they're intimidated sometimes by the specialists and intimidated by the other doctors. They don't, tend to ask as much as they could to take it. You want to be able to take advantage of all the knowledge that's available
Right.
in that kind of setting, because there's so much of it, but it doesn't always happen. There's still people that you still feel like you're floating around sometimes, and though you can call someone, you don't always have the time to call them, or maybe you're nervous to call them because you don't really know them, and
Right. Okay.
and the other, so people travel a lot from office to office, and that can be difficult because you're trying to maintain your patient base, but they don't want to see a different doctor, and they want to just keep seeing the same doctor. But they call, and that doctor's not available that day, so they see a different doctor. And that's probably, other than the money, which the cost, which I can't do anything about, I think the number one complaint I have from patients is continuity of care. How come I always see a different dentist when I'm here? Obviously, if you are a sole practitioner, you're not going to have that problem. But in a large group practice setting, you do have that problem.
Okay.
So you have multiple opinions, and is this a filling or is it not? And I didn't have 10 fillings at the last cleaning appointment, and now you're telling me I have 10 fillings. It's hard to explain to a patient that it's, a difference of opinion.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Number 15. Is it more of a challenge to be competitive now?
So I kind of have my little niche of what I do and what I feel I can do well, and I know what I should refer. So I tend to I personally stay pretty busy, but there is definitely a competitive nature to how we work now. And I can give you a perfect example. There were, in one clinic I was working every Wednesday, and I had been working every Wednesday for 8 or 9 years. No, since I started at that clinic.
Okay.
And a new doctor came in and, was upset that his schedule wasn't full. And, Dr. Hines is always busy and my schedule's never full. And I was asked to change days.
Wow.
So that, in my opinion, it was based on that, but I wasn't told that, but the signs were there. But there's definitely, there is a competitive aspect to it, because some doctors just don't get a full schedule, and some do. And it's not about the work; it's about your patient relationships. And not everybody can build those easily. And so, there's definitely people want to work. They want to, they want to make money, and they want to be there, and they want to treat patients. And if you don't have a full schedule and somebody else does, they're going to get upset, and they get upset with the front desk staff for scheduling, and it just creates a bit of a tense atmosphere at times.
So, kind of on the same topic, but has the new dental business model affected competition for dental practices in general?
Well, it does seem like there are more of these large group practices opening up. And back when I started with Lane, and there were some others in Fuquay that were opening up, people did seem to be concerned that, oh no, our production is gonna go down there. Everybody's gonna go to these other dentists. I find that dentistry kind of ebbs and flows in general. So we go through times where it's a little light, and then other times where it's really heavy, and it's kind of that you have that kind of steady patient base. So they always come for their 6-month cleanings. They follow their treatment plans. But then, of course, there's people that only come when it hurts or when they have the money to come. So things kind of go up and down, up and down. And I haven't seen much of a difference with with newer practices opening up next to us. I still feel like I've been really busy, but I've built relationships there. Though I've been there for so long that But I guess if I were new starting up, that would be a different story. If I were just coming in, I may notice more of a difference. But it is interesting to me that so many dentists open up so close to each other.
It is.
How can they continue to do well? And I always wonder, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. It was never anything I wanted to be a sole provider, to have my own practice. One of the things that keeps us competitive in the Lillington office is that we take Medicaid. And so a lot of other private dentists or other places around us don't. So we tend to stay busy because we do accept Medicaid. And so and we continue to, and they've tried to decrease the amount of Medicaid that we take, but it never works because nobody will see them. So they have to go somewhere. So our production always goes down in Lillington when they decide we're going to stop seeing Medicaid or we're going to see less Medicaid or only on certain days.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but once we accept Medicaid again, we're right back full busy. So.
Okay. The next question, number 17, which you've already discussed, the how is competition affected by the new dental business model? So we're going to go to number 18.
Okay.
How can a multidisciplinary organization maintain competitiveness today?
Well, there is a very definite difference today versus 12 years ago, and I would say we just started a marketing department a few years ago, and it was a whole big social media thing. So I think someone came in and told Dr. Lane, to be more competitive, you have to get yourself out there on social media, and it's been a very big difference because I don't ever think of dentistry as something I have to sell, and I don't think of it as something I have to post on Facebook or Instagram. But to be competitive in this market, people go online and they look at Google reviews. They want to see reviews for what they're going to, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a movie. In dental practice is the same thing, which boggles my mind because it's healthcare, and it shouldn't be something that we go on a Google review. I think that's very bizarre. But we have to accept that that's where we are in this day and age. So I think part of staying competitive for our practice has been working on our social media reputation, right? So trying to keep positive reviews, trying to get people to post positive reviews about us, and for better or worse, that's kind of where we are right now. So I think to stay competitive, you have to get your name out there. You have to be present in the community, and that's one thing that Lane has continued to do. Like, for example, have a float in the Christmas parades. Get out there in charity events and support a local, charity fundraiser, whatever is happening on the streets of the town. I think you have to really get in people's faces and make your name stand out.
Right.
It's not, because when it comes down to it, a patient's not really going to know that you did an amazing filling. As long as it doesn't hurt after you fix it, it could look however, So you can't, you have to have the patient relationship and you have to get your name out there. So
okay.
I think that's a huge part of staying competitive in this day and age.
Is it more?
And also keeping up with the latest technology.
Okay.
Patients are a lot more knowledgeable about new stuff that's out there. And I've had people come and tell me, like, for example, there was a new lozenge that you could take for dry mouth that this guy found on Amazon, and he was using it and loved it, and I had never heard of it. So, patients have the ability to learn a lot about dentistry online, and some do, and some don't, but I mean, some do, and they are interested in new technologies and new things that they want you to do. So to stay competitive, you have to keep up with that sort of thing. You have to be Invisalign. You have to offer that. They want to see one-visit crowns. They don't want to. They want all porcelain. They don't want silver. These are things that you have to keep up with the technology if you want to stay competitive too.
Okay. Number 19, is it more of a challenge to stay in business?
In a multidisciplinary practice, or in this new model?
In the new dental business model.
Well, I'm not really part of the business side of it, right? So I kind of go and I just do my job and then I go home. Mm-hmm. But I think I feel like patients are they're really vulnerable and sensitive when they come to see us. So, wait, what was the question again before I go off track?
Yeah, is it more of a challenge to stay in business? Do you think it's more of a challenge to stay in business?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a challenge just to stay in dentistry in general at times because we have such a horrible reputation.
Right.
People nobody likes to come see us. So it's the daily challenge that's never going to change with, keeping patient relationships, keeping just being focused on that patient and listening to the patient and really understanding where they're at, not just orally, but their whole general health and dentally, listening to the patient and where they want to go, but guiding them along the way as the practitioner. But you have to but the patient should feel like they're part of their treatment as well. And there's always going to be that challenge in dentistry. So I think that no matter if you were as a sole provider or in a group practice, the challenges of dentistry at their core are, building patient relationships. I don't think it's different.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I've been in group practice for so long now. I don't know what it would be like to be a sole provider.
Right.
But,
okay. Number 20. How can an organization remain solvent as a result of the new dental business model?
What do you mean remain solvent?
Staying in business, pretty much. How can an organization remain in business as a result of the new dental business model, making sure that you're meeting your budget, you're making money to stay in business?
Right. I got you. Okay. So some of the things I've noticed over the past few years is there's a lot of management in different departments. So we have a dentist that's in charge of materials, and we have a formulary, and we have to order off the formulary, and if it's anything that's not on the formulary and we want to order it, we have to get special permission. So, cutting costs in any way that you can. He works really hard to buy things in bulk and get good discounts and good deals from manufacturers. So, I think there's that aspect of it. We had to kind of tighten up our relationship with our lab because we were being overcharged for things. And so we, as doctors now, we have to look at every lab slip and make sure it matches what we're doing and that we're charged the right thing. And I think it's not losing sight of all these nickel and dime things that can eventually put you under, losing a little bit here and there. Because when you have 30 offices or whatever, and let's say every lab case is off by $5. I mean, it adds up with time. And, if you're using a composite that is equally as good as another composite that's, $1 less expensive, let's say, per carpule. I don't even know how it comes. But, you know, that adds up over time. So I wouldn't want to be responsible or in charge of that, but I do understand that if you have it at a corporation that large and you want to stay in business, you have to cut costs and wherever you can without cutting quality, though, of course, without cutting quality. So.
Definitely. And the final question, number 21. Overall, what is your perception of the new dental business model?
Well, for me, it's worked out very well for me. I enjoy being able to talk to different doctors and being able to refer out things that I don't feel comfortable with, but knowing that, well, this doctor's going to be here tomorrow. This doctor can look at it. You know, even a general dentist that is a little more focused on, you know, sleep medicine, let's say, than I am, and say, oh, well, I got this guy coming in tomorrow, this doctor, and he's great. He's going to take a look, and we'll talk about it together. And, you know, I really like that, being able to have that kind of approach for a patient. I think it's good for us as clinicians to be able to tag team on things like that. But I think it's good for the patient, too, so that they can not hear different opinions, but also hear, you know, get that confidence that, yes, this is really what I need to do because this guy's saying it and this guy's saying it, you know. So I like having that. It's been good for me as a parent wanting to have more time with my kids because and to be able to be present for them because I don't have to work full time. I can still, and there's still plenty of work to do. I can work in different offices if I want to. I can work different hours, and I don't have to be the one responsible for, you know, if I don't work 8 to 5, 8 to 6, whatever, every day of the week, and then plus weekends do this and that, and do payroll, and do, you know, worry about hiring staff, and worry about maintaining this building. You know, I appreciate personally not having to worry about those kinds of things. So for me, a group practice setting is perfect. Okay. Because that was never anything I was interested in. I just wanted to do the dentistry. So this new business model for me personally, has been perfect.
Okay.
And you know, it's funny. I'll add. I have a dentist that I work with who's desperately wanting to buy a sole practice. Like he wants to be a single dentist in his practice. Him and like one hygienist in this little town if need be, and just be responsible for everything. And he cannot find a single one to buy. It's all group practices, and you know, nobody's. It's less likely that he's going to find what he's looking for in this day and age. You know.
Right. Okay. Well, that ends our interview. I'm going to stop the recorder.